Last winter, I entered Louisiana in mid to late February, and this state is so Catholic. I've never seen such a Catholic state. The culture of the Cajuns in southern Louisiana is incredible, and I think you're going to see a piece of that culture today in the story from Frank Summers, the founder of the Family Missions Company in Abbeville, Louisiana. Check them out right now on 1billionstories.com.
To announce the good news to all creation.
And maybe, before this interview started, we were talking about there's 7 billion people in the world.
Yeah, well, this is...
And maybe tie that into what happens here at the Family Missions Company.
Well, you know, when we set out, I know a lot more about missions today than I knew when I set out as a missionary. In fact, I knew nothing about being a missionary when I set out. I knew the Lord Jesus, and I knew from my own encounter with the Lord and from the being part of groups of people who were encountered. The charismatic renewal was like wildfire at that time and down here. And lots of people were being touched by God. And we could see the changes in one another, you know. And so I knew the Lord, and I knew what a wonderful thing it was to find the Lord. But how to be a foreign missionary, I had no notions of how to do this.
And that's where you felt called.
And that's what we felt called to do. I had a vision one night at home in our family prayer. And in the vision, which it went on a long vision, it went on over an hour, Jeannie and I alone at home, with her taking notes and me speaking out what I was seeing, saw ourselves serving among different cultures in different lands. And particularly in that vision, there was a sort of centerpiece was serving in islands. So I was practicing law at that time, assistant district attorney. The following day, I was representing a client in a proceeding in court in a nearby city, and my client was named Southern Mutual Help Association. They did work among sugarcane workers. And one of the principal directors of the organization was a priest, a married priest. And at lunch after the court proceeding, I said, "Father, your order do any kind of missionary work?" He said, "Well, yeah." We said, "We have missionaries in Latin America." He said, "At one time the Pope gave our order, the Maris, the principal responsibility for mission work in Oceania, which means the islands of the Pacific." And I said, "Golly." And here I am the night before with this vision of me working in the islands. And I said, well, how would I get in touch with someone in the Maris to talk about being their mission work? And I'm sure in his mind he was thinking, this guy's about to give us a nice donation. So he put me in touch with the provincial for the Marist who was in Boston. And I went home and contacted the Marist and said, "Please we're interested in missions. Tell me what to do." They had a Marist priest from Lafayette come down and talk to us. And then later, the provincial from Boston came down and talked to us. In the meanwhile, I went to Vermilion Parish Public Library, went to the card catalog and looked up missions. I mean, that's how far I was from knowing anything about missions.
You just knew.
Just trying to find it. You know, Lord, if you want it for me, I want it for me.
Has there been an experience in the last 3 to 4 weeks during Advent of God's providence working in your life? Write it down below. Let's get a good list going down there. There you go. Frank Summers, Family Missions Company, Abbeville, Louisiana, on 1billionstories.com.
The justice that Jesus calls us to in our lives is so much greater.